Environment?
Good.
No. It's not there yet.
Just back there right now. So here we go and I guess. Thank you. We can do it fast.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is our third company that has visited us to present our students, and we're lucky to have 3 of our graduates here to present PLS, local, like we said, this is the closest company that has been here, has been coming here every semester to hire students, and of course, these guys and them are examples of the product from our program. We're interested to find out, first of all, why did you choose, especially when you graduated, both of you graduated, you worked with this company from day one, right?
No.
Watson, right? Yeah. What made you choose local companies, and was it a difficult thing? Because we do have companies coming in from all over, big companies, and they're offering lots of money. So, and I won't blame you, okay? But tell us about that, and also job opportunities, the kind of jobs and equipment you all need to. Now, I know you all don't like to hear me talk too much. Thank you all very much for coming. All right, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ramey. Well, just to touch on what you first brought up, what me, Zach, and Corey all went to work for engineering firms after we graduated. I worked for Poly Engineering for 10 years, just became Poly. Zach worked for Watkins Consulting Engineering, correct? Correct. But Watkins here in Troy, and Corey also worked for Poly as well as some other engineering firms. And I think throughout that time, we all see such a need for topographic surveys for engineering design. There's so many engineering firms that are out there that are small enough that they don't have in-house surveyors. And I think that's probably who I would say some of our most dominant clientele are currently. I mean, we work for a lot of different small engineering companies that do all different types of design, just from like little restaurants all the way to big subdivisions. It's great to go out and work for somebody, but it's also kind of neat to build something yourself. And I think when you work for those larger firms, the overhead's higher. You see, it's hard to make money. You can't go out and do a $500 lot survey and come out on it. And I think our model is we try to do any type of survey, and we do a lot of. Bryce, especially down in Florida, we do a pile of little mortgage surveys. It's a $500-600 survey, and we're small enough that we can actually make money on those projects and knock them out. But we're also big enough that we can do 200-acre boundary topographic survey and turn it around in a month and get it out for a big subdivision design. So I think that's kind of what makes us unique, is we're
Diversified.
Yeah, we don't, like Zach, we were talking about this earlier, we don't really have a niche. We try to do, we want to be small enough that we can do the little jobs and come out on it, but we want to be big enough that we can support a really large job. And, growing forward, we want to be able to do a lot of DOT work, and we don't really have a lot of those contracts now, but that's the next step. We want to be able to get some of those bigger, longer lasting contracts. Anyways, that was just a quick answer to your question. But my name is Justin Tomley. This is Zach Bradley and Bryce Brasher. I'm the vice president of the survey, and our owner, Corey Russian, he couldn't be here today. He had a meeting in Auburn. But just to kind of give you a brief rundown of the company, he started it in 2015. He hired me in 2020, and when I started, we had 5 full-time employees and a handful of part-time employees. And right now, currently, we have 18 full-time employees and a handful of part-time employees, and we're also growing currently. So we just hired another surveyor in Baldwin County, so we hadn't opened up down there yet. She hadn't started yet, but we're in the process of starting that fall. And I have an office in Dothan, Alabama. We have 1 crew there, and Secretary and Bryce opened up an office in Panama City, Florida.
Need some help.
Yeah, we need a full-time crew down there, big time.
Is that a one-man show down there?
No.
It is, and we send crews down there. We kind of rotate through sending our crews that work out of the Troy office down there. But yeah, Bryce is doing field work and office work.
Secretary, cook and chef.
Next year. Next year. We're in the process. We got to get a crew first, right? And then, like I said, Baldwin County's in the works, and then we would like to go into Auburn, maybe some other places in North Alabama. We just kind of see what we find and what's out there. Like I said, we're expanding. We currently have the 4 offices, which the 4th office in Baldwin County is not. We have accepted an offer, a surveyor has accepted an offer, but we hadn't opened up. She'll probably work out of our house for a little bit, and then we'll look for a brick and mortar. We got that in Baldwin County, possibly looking at the offices in Montgomery and Auburn. I think Auburn's kind of top of our list. We've been looking for a surveyor up there, but anybody that's interested in that area, definitely come talk to us. We're potentially looking to hire several students, and I think our needs, just come and talk to us. And we work a lot with students. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of familiar faces around here. Justin Hall's accepted an offer with us. He's coming whenever he graduates. So there's potential, all over the Southeast. Florida Panhandle's big, Baldwin County is the market we're just tapping into, all over Alabama. So.
Some of the equipment that we use, I'm sure y'all are all pretty familiar with as far as the TopCon stuff goes. We use the magnet field software with FC 5000, 6000. They're a lot easier to use than some of the old stuff. We got TopCon GPS, we got GR5s, Hopper Bs, Hopper Lights, all kinds of stuff. TopCon robots, that's pretty much what every crew has. We have one Sokia GPS unit, but I don't think we have any Sokia guns. We use Carlson drawing software mostly because it's more surveyor friendly, and we don't have any in-house engineers to need the capabilities of like your Civil 3D and stuff like that. And then we use a DJI M600 drone. You want to talk about that stuff?
Yeah, I can get into it more whenever we get into the slides about it. But
the LiDAR USA LiDAR system, that's the LiDAR system that we use with the DJI drone. And then we use TerraPost processing, Correlator 3D, and Carlson Point Cloud.
So my name is Zach, and I started out right after high school working with basically a one-man show down in Covington County, and I fell in love with boundary surveys. Anybody like get hard over a boundary survey? It's what I love, So that kind of set things in motion for me, and ended up coming to Troy University. Thankfully, I graduated, and I did work with a local engineer. We did a lot of design stuff, topographic surveys, utility surveys, route surveys. Didn't do a whole lot of alpha stuff. We did do a lot of construction staking. But PLS group, we're, like we kind of touched on before, we're really diversified. And if you can think of it, we've probably measured it. I think the only 2 types of surveys that we haven't done are seismic and hydrographic. We do, just everything, and it's all fun. But boundaries, if you want to come work with me, I'll put you on a boundary.
Did you work with Dax, dude?
No, sir, I didn't.
You know Dax? Yeah. Yeah, worked with Charlie, right? Bronson Ring.
Well, we went to school together, and
No,
they
really.
were. We were in
Dax
some
is
classes.
older.
Yeah, Dax was Charlie. Charlie was a lot older, but he had some classes with him.
Yeah.
he took hydrology.
Yeah, he was looking to get his Georgia license and had to take some classes.
Hardy was.
He's in Florida now. You too.
Charlie Boxell.
Yeah.
See you practicing down there currently?
DOT kind of work.
So he works for the DOT?
Yeah, he worked for the.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, he called us recently about establishing his scholarship for people, students. So, yeah, he disappeared for a while, but he's back supporting the program.
It's always good for tracing the Boston racer.
It's both here, down that Boston, right? Old records and all that.
Yeah.
all of them.
But, we do a little bit of it all at PLS. It's always interesting.
This picture right here is it's a museum that they're building at Fort Rucker. It's right behind the museum. It's under construction right now. But I laid out I laid out a bunch of stuff, but it was a $20 million foundation. And I laid out all the anchor bolts, and it's like 1/16 inch tolerance. I mean, every pile cap was worth about $1 million out there.
You double check, triple check, check.
And then check it with a steel tape after that. But
So
just,
they are expanding the museum.
yeah, it's right behind the museum. It's actually pretty cool. I don't know if you can see, but like that hole in the middle, they got like a crane in there, and they can like drop down and pick up airplanes, and they're gonna be able to like set them out on the second floor. It's crazy. I don't know if it's,
Do you know when it's gonna finish the construction?
they poured the slab on the first floor on the inside, and they're sheetrocking as of this week, so it's up. It'll probably be 6 months, or I'm not sure. I haven't been out there as much lately. Once I got the pile caps done, I was like, send somebody else out there.
You're gonna do that any as-view story after the done?
I'll do some as-built, it's probably not a whole lot.
Do you all have plans to work with other companies like, I know Rusty, Albertus, you know him?
I know of him, Corey knows him more, but yeah, we do work with other surveyors.
Did he not establish himself also and have his own business?
I thought didn't he come down here last? Did he come down?
A few years ago, but I don't know I don't know the status of,
Oh, he made it either last week, Rusty Blackwell.
no, there's another one, Rusty,
Albrecht.
Albert.
I think he's up around Huntsville, is that right?
No, that's
Rusty.
That's a different Rusty, okay. But yeah, we did, y'all know John Robert Chancey? He went to school with Corey. He owned Enterprise Surveying, which Corey acquired Enterprise Surveying. He opened up Due South Surveying in Panama City. I've done a couple of surveys in conjunction with him. That big boundary we did in Freeport, that was actually with him. How many acres was
that
that?
he sold.
1,600?
Yeah, that's- What's that?
He sold the Enterprise office to Corey.
No,
That was him?
John Robert?
Uh-huh.
No, Corey bought him out. So PLS owns Enterprise Surveying.
Okay.
And then John started Due South Surveying in Panama City. But then this is just some of our clientele. You know, we did, like I said, we did a lot of work for smaller engineering firms that don't have in-house surveyors. Military Housing Authority me and Corey have been doing work for Corvius Military Housing since 2011 down at Eglin Air Force Base in Fort Rucker. Where actually they built like 1,200 houses down there. You just laid out the last houses that hadn't been laid out. We're trying to get the ALTA survey to show what all they built, down there at Eglin's huge. Do a lot of private landowners, like Zach said, we like to be able to do boundary surveys. I mean, that's kind of bread and butter. We like to be small enough to be able to handle those and deal with the crazy clients, right? Developers, we do subdivisions, topos, layout, stakeout, platting, other surveying firms, municipalities. We do some surveys for the city of Dothan. You do some stuff for the city of Troy, right? We got contracts with the city enterprise. We don't do a lot with them. Construction companies, we do a lot of stakeout. I like doing stakeout. I don't think we try to do endless amounts of stakeout, but it's just, everybody needs you out there right now. And a lot of these construction companies have their own surveyors in-house too. So they do their own layout a lot of times, but we do a pretty good bit of it. We do a lot of stuff for realtors, estate type planning, little mortgage surveys down in Florida. Like I said, they require, if you don't have a current survey and you're gonna take a loan out on a house, you have to have a current survey. So we just do a pile of those down in Florida. Utility companies and industrial companies, we do a lot of site expansions in industrial sites, typos for stuff like that. And we just kind of threw a bunch of random surveys in here, so we just kind of go over some examples of stuff we've done in 2021 mainly.
And a lot of the clients are repeat customers. They'll have a need for a survey, and then at a later date, maybe they move, in this case, the property doing. They built a house in the driveway, and basically the lender wanted to make sure that all the improvements were located on the correct property. So we come back and get to do more work for certain people. And this case right here, I mean, we basically just located the driveway in the house, and client's happy, and we're happy, and move on and do another one. This right here was approximately 50-acre topographic survey. I think that Zibo got to work a little bit on it.
Is that right?
It is. They're looking at doing a little bit of an expansion, and these guys, they did a really good job, and we were able to get a really pretty topographic map for engineering design.
That was in conjunction with Polly, wasn't it?
This is a topo that I did by myself. One good thing about this company is that we are big enough to get like those big jobs, and we're small enough too. I can go out, do this job one day, take it to the office the next day, and draw it pretty much by myself. And a lot of these small developments in Florida, they have a lot of tree requirements, cities and counties. They'll make you pay X amount of dollars for whatever tree it is, and if it's a higher quality tree, more money. So that's one unique thing about this topo that wasn't on the last one. I had to locate all the trees on this property for a development, because they're probably gonna go in and wipe them all out, and they're gonna have to either pay the city X amount of dollars or replant them elsewhere.
So this is a subdivision that we have going on in Spanish Fort. Right now it's still in the approval phase. I think we have all the county and city requirements met for the plat. It's kind of one of the, I would say, a medium-sized subdivision, approximately 35 lots. But we're looking at doing a lot more in this area.
This is your guy, Chris.
This is a really big Alta PLS survey we did for a trailer park called Conway Acres in Auburn, Alabama. It's actually one of the nicest trailer parks I've ever seen. It's really, really nice. They had like all this is just like big green space and big ponds, and everybody's like running around with their dogs. And I mean, it's just huge oak trees, like old silos everywhere. It's really neat. But man, I can't remember how many trailers it was. It was hundreds and hundreds of trailers. I actually did this with a LiDAR. I flew it all, and that's how I did all the trailer location. It's just all horizontal, all the buildings, all the porches, all the roads, all the concrete, all the driveways. Of course, we had to go out there and locate all the sewers, water meters, stuff like that to add to it. I think it was actually 3 pages if you want to it had 2 different sites. So that's the second site. It had its own, this is the guy that owned it, lived in this big mansion back here in the back of it, ponds all around it. We had the next page too. It had its own sewage treatment facility out there, its own lagoons. But somebody came in and acquired it, so, and that's typically what a lot of Alta surveys are for, is for commercial development or commercial, when somebody takes out a loan for commercial property, that's typically when the banks will require an Alta survey. Anyways, and then we also wound up doing a plat for this one. If you go to the next page, I did a administration plat. Some cities call them a minor subdivision. This is not, you're not making a bunch of little lots. So this one is kind of weird. We had to get permission from the city and the county on this. There's a subdivision being developed right here. Typically, they don't let you create a landlocked parcel, but this subdivision was purchasing this, so we had a note on there, like not for development. And as part of that plat that's being sent and through the county and all, and going to be recorded, that is going to become a part of that plat. But essentially, in these cities, you can't just take a lot and split it up into 3 lots because the city doesn't allow it without doing some sort of plat. And that's what a lot of these cities have, a minor subdivision or administration subdivision, where if it's 4 or less parcels or 6 or less parcels that can fall under that, and you don't have to do the full planning process. So that's what this one was. I think there's another page of it. Yeah. So essentially, we took a couple parcels and made 3 new parcels out of it.
And again, a lot of our repeat clients are engineering firms. They rely on us to give them good, accurate data of what's on the ground and also what's underneath the ground. This particular survey, they were looking at doing some sewer rehabilitation and design in Brantley. So we went out, located the houses, the streets, and also there wasn't a real accurate map of the existing sanitary sewer for this area. So we got to do a lot of investigative work and running out, tracing the lines, and actually being like the first person to put this area, the sanitary sewer, on a map. And once we were able to do that, the engineer, they're able to come up with their cost analysis and design and help out an area that has substandard sanitary sewer services.
So you will have the equipment to map some subsurface features, like soil system. How did you all do that?
It's just, you get out there, you open up the manhole, you look down in it, see where the pipe is going, and you just start walking until you find the next terminus point.
Oh, above ground. So you're not using equipment?
No, we're not doing anything.
It is below ground, but you're making the underground skip. The sanitary, you can see it all.
Straight line kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, you just open manhole to manhole. I do have a pipe horn. I do a little bit of electrical as-built for Corvius at Eglin, where you hook it up and trace it out. But we don't really specialize in that. There is a big need for it, and over the past year, with the boom in housing and boom in construction, well, more than a year, it's getting harder and harder and harder just to call Alabama 811 or Sunshine 811 and expect them to go out there. Like when I started surveying 10 years ago, you could call Alabama 811 or Florida 811, they go out there and mark everything in 48 hours, everything be flagged up and pretty. And now it's like trying to get them to come out there and mark something for a survey. It's just not going to happen. And it's hard for the engineers and it's hard for us too. So there is a need for that, but it's expensive and time consuming too. I mean, I know you've done a lot of stuff like this with Buck. I mean, engineers want to know what's in the ground and where it's at before they do a design, but the 811 companies don't really service that. I mean, they're there to service big tickets, so I think surveyors just kind of use them as, hey, we're doing a design, get out there and locate it, and they used to do it, but now they're like, if you want to see an excavator sitting on the side of the road, we're not marking anything. But no, we don't have like ground penetrating radars, or I do have a little pipe horn that sends a signal, but the bad thing about that is if you have a comm line and a gas line and a water line, all those signals just start echoing off each other, so without actually digging it up and putting your eyes on it, it's hard to know.
Like Brundage, they don't know where to put all of these dry utilities. They basically, when they're digging, I wish that nothing exposed, There's a big market for that, so I guess later on you'll get equipment.
Yeah, well, if somebody's digging 811, will get out there and mark it, because that's what they're there for. But if you're not digging, like I said, they pull up and there's nobody out there and no construction equipment on site. They've learned throughout the years to recognize somebody's probably using this for design purposes.
And the city engineer, they have ground penetrating radar, and they're pretty good at calling locate. They'll bring it out and they can locate storm drains and sanitary sewer that typically wouldn't be picked up on a locate anyway because they don't run trace wires with them. So pretty good. This job right here, it was a really fun one. There was a lot of different companies involved. We actually got this contract through another surveying firm. Recommended us because we were a lot more local than he was. And our requirements were to do the topographic survey, the utility survey, and also the boundary survey. And in that process, there were a couple of different challenges with the location of the property, but we got it ironed out. And we also we were able to determine that the Crenshaw County mapping department had incorrectly labeled ownership for the parcel of land to the south of it. And during this whole process, we ended up doing, I think, 3 or 4 different surveys so that we could get the ownership swapped back around, and ultimately we helped in the conveyance of that property to the developer. And then at the same time, the survey was used for ALDOT permits for the utilities and turn lanes, and also for the engineering design for the sanitary, sewer, and water and storm drainage.
That's our DJI drone with a LiDAR USA LiDAR system on the bottom of it. You got a couple of examples of things I've done past year. This is one I just did last month in Auburn. It's an industrial automotive manufacturer. I mean, they make components for automotives. But they're doing a big site expansion. You know, we surveyed, it's not a boundary survey, but I kind of modeled the plat up. I mean, they got this big retention pond and then this whole wooded area over there. So that's kind of industrial. We do a lot of projects like that. You know, somebody has a industrial site and they want to up their production, and we work hand in hand with the engineers to locate everything, measure all the storm, sanitary, utilities, get the topographic survey done, and then they can design their expansion off of that survey. This is another one I did this year, and it's for Dothan High School down in Dothan, Alabama. That's the track and the gymnasium area, but they're going to do a practice facility upgrade for the high school. So I actually did the track. I did the track in this area back middle of last year, and then they called back and said, hey, we want to do the whole thing. So, or not the whole school, but we added the whole gymnasium and back over the Dothan Technology Center side of it, back behind it. And it's, you know, doing these LiDAR surveys, I've actually gotten a lot better at combining field data with LiDAR data and old surveys with new surveys. It took me, it's a lot harder to do that if you're not really organized with your surfaces. But I've kind of perfected, I don't know, once y'all start running surfaces, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, if you try to, like I used to just make surfaces and edit the surfaces to get it like I wanted, flip triangles and make all these edits, and that's really not the best way to do it, because if you go back and add something else to the survey and you recreate that surface, you've done lost every edit you made to it. So the best thing to do is to actually, you know, fix it with the points or the break lines, and, you know, change those break lines, and you just, the way I do it now is I just keep recreating my surface until I get it like I want it to be. Instead of editing it, I'll just make it, and then if I see something, I'll change it, and I'll make it again, and I'll make it again, and then that way, if I want to add another break line, I just go in there and add the break line and recreate the surface. I don't have to worry about any of the edits and flipping any triangles later on. But so that way, whenever I added this site, the whole second site, I mean, everything was correct in the first site.
And the LiDAR, did you have any vegetation? How did you deal with the vegetation?
I have one on my computer that I'll plug it in when we get done with this if y'all want to see it. I have some point clouds that I can show you, some colorized ones and some non-colorized ones with some vegetation.
How long is flight time on your drone?
I have 4 sets of batteries. I can fly about an hour. It depends on if I'm doing photogrammetry or not. Go back. That goes over. That one was, that one was about, I think it's bigger. I flew more than I needed, but I think I flew 80 acres on 3 sets of batteries. I can do 100 acres on 4 sets of batteries. Maybe a little bit more if I don't do photo, maybe 120 acres. This is just a list of our benefits. I mean, I think we have very competitive pay. We try to. We're trying to, you know, get students, hire surveyors. I mean, it's very competitive market right now, so we're having to be there. We also have PTO. You know, I think we get 2 weeks PTO starting out. Paid time off is just sick, vacation, whatever you want to use it for. Paid employee health insurance. We do, well, we did do 100% paid for single. We just changed that to where the employee has to pay for single insurance. It's very minimum. It's less than $10 a month.
It's like $250 a paycheck.
Yeah, $250. So yeah, you're like $5 a month. And then dental insurance, we offer that supplemental long-term, short-term disability, and we do 401k matching as well. So.
Questions?
Summer jobs.
Come see us.
Yeah, being local, it's pretty easy to work. You know, during the summer, you can stay at your house in Troy that you pay for the school year. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to do a summer job with us. All you gotta do is come ask.
Do you have any GIS job?
I have done a lot of them in the past. I know, and Corey's done some. We did storm, sewer inventory, and GIS database creation in Auburn. The company I was with, Polly, and we did the entire city of Dothan water system. The city went out there and marked it and painted it, and then we came back. We basically followed the marking crew around and put the whole, and we compiled the whole GIS database ourselves. We actually did we ran Esri inside of the Carlson tablets. So we were actually drawing the database with all the attributes and everything in real time in the data clicker. And then at the end of every day, we get it off, put it into the GIS and the computer and kind of compile it all together. But I mean, it was everything. We shoot fire hydrant, it'd all pop up, and it would be on the GIS map in the data clicker with all the line work. It's pretty impressive.
And a lot of the cities are getting on board with when a subdivision is completed, they're requiring as-built surveys for the utilities. So we basically give them our CAD drawings that they can incorporate into their GIS system. And we use something called Survey Stars, to where all of our different projects are located on a map. It's like basically a map of the whole United States. And we can go in there and we can query any aspect of the job that we enter in, whether it be like address, client, section, township, and range, what type of survey it was. And so, like I said, if we got a job in enterprise, we can go on that system, and it takes you, it shows you where it's at, and you can also look at, hey, we've done a job close by, and we can go and retrieve that data really quickly instead of searching through millions and millions
I
of
remember,
paper copies.
what was that system last time when Corey was here?
Yeah, we showed. It's pretty impressive and pretty handy. I mean, everybody has access to everything on the fly. So this is a job that I'm doing in Mobile County for Yellowwood. It's actually a timber treatment facility for Yellowwood. I'm in the middle of it. I'm not done with it, but this is a LiDAR project. This is the developed site. I'm not done with it, and then this is the wooded site. And this is kind of what it looks like when I get done with it before I make my surface. I make these polylines and send them to the bottom of the point cloud. So like all these are 3D polylines, and that's what I'll build my surface out of. So all these have elevations attached all the way throughout the line. I did 2 different flights on this one. I think this was 37 acres and this was 30 acres. I did the 30 acres with photogrammetry so I could colorize the point cloud. I'll pull it up and let you see what it looks like. And this is Carlson point cloud software. It's in IntelliCAD. I use this and I use OEM. I can open the same drawings in the different softwares, but typically I do all my point cloud creation and drawing in here, and then I'll get into OEM and make my surface. Let's see, so this is my colorized point cloud of the 37 acres. Takes it a minute. And that's where, there it is. It's pretty impressive. I mean, you can see this dang American flag. And what this is doing, I mean, you're making an ortho mosaic, and then using my raw point cloud and colorizing all those points. You can see the trucks, I mean, and then these lines right here are where I drew out all the curve, you know, like in 3D, which I'm still working on the ground. Now this is one of my aerial targets.
Do you fly all of your projects?
I do right now, yes. And hopefully that's what Justin Hall's gonna help us with. We're gonna try to get him trained up. Because it's a learning process for me. It takes me, I do all the drafting and flying and all that, and it takes me a lot of time to turn these around. I mean, what a job I may have 10 hours or 15, hours of reviewing, and now I have 40 hours in. It's been a learning experience. So those are trailers, with wood sitting on them. All the wood, and this is where they treat it in here. That's me right there set up. See my base station set up. There's my truck. And I'll show you the other one. So this is, like I said, I just did this site with full color. When you're in the woods, you don't really need the color, and you have to fly the lines a lot closer. So like I do these on like 100-foot passes. In the woods, I'll do, or on a non-colorized point cloud, I'll do a 200-foot pass. And you can still tell, I can sort this by intensity, so I can still see the difference in like the paving, even though it's not colorized. It's just strictly based on intensity. You're seeing the difference in returns on asphalt versus grass, or paint striping. A lot of these FDOT surveys and houses, they require the striping. This is perfect for that. I mean, you can see it really well. And then here's the wooded area that I did. This is all woods. I think I have a different one. I think I kind of make different views for different things. Like I'll make this intensity view just to draw like this road over here. And then I drew all these ditches. I had to draw all these break lines, which is not that bad. I mean, you can draw a line. I mean, you don't have to click every one of these vertices. You can draw a 1,000-foot line and say, send it to the point cloud every 25 foot. And it just makes all the points out. But when you're doing like curving and stuff like that, there are times where you do have to pick out a lot of stuff. Let's see, I think this is the one where I did the vegetation. This is just a colorized by elevation. Everything like up high is going to turn a reddish color, and green to blue all the way down to the bottom. This is where I drew a lot of the, I wound up looking at it upside down a lot. But like I said, I'll draw these polylines out, and then I'll send them to the bottom of the point cloud. So that becomes my surface, and it checks really accurately with ground run data. Just to show you just a brief. So like this is my IntelliCAD with point cloud, but I can also open the same job in just my regular Carlson OEM. This doesn't have the point cloud processing, but this is where I'll actually, if I was going to make a surface out of these lines, and I hadn't even done this yet, I hadn't messed with the surface, just get a triangulating contour. I have a LiDAR triangulation style set up, so I'll open that, and that means basically I'm just creating a surface from 3D polylines. I can also turn on points if I want to. hadn't done this one, so we got to name it. Just give you like a sample. But essentially, I just made that surface right there, and these are raw. I got to go back through and check everything, but that's the 10 right there, based off of all those 3D lines that I sent. But, y'all have any other questions?
Have you already had any expensive mistake?
We actually got named in a lawsuit that somebody, so Corey also purchased Alabama land surveyors, or not, he didn't, he merged with Alabama land surveyors in Prattville, and then they split. They didn't last long, but one of the guys that used to work at Alabama land surveyors that wasn't even there whenever Corey was a part of it. So this guy's completely removed from PLS in any way. He surveyed something with another company and cut some lady's fence and let a cow out. And they named PLS Group in that lawsuit. So that just goes to show you, I mean, that's nothing, not even anything to do with us, but just something completely random that their lawyers are going to hit whoever they can hit. I mean,
That's what I talked to them about. And you know about that, price?
Yeah.
If they want to get you in court, they're going to get you.
Yeah. And we actually got out of that one, but it's just because of the way, I mean, it was costly for us to just have lawyer time just to fight the fact that we shouldn't even be named in the lawsuit.
Have you all been to court yet?
I haven't yet.
How many jobs are we talking about? Permanent jobs?
We had, what'd you say today, as of this morning, this year?
We, as of this morning, we're at 96 for this year.
So we'll be, I think last year we didn't hit 1,000, but I mean, like that Robbins and Morton stakeout at Rucker, I mean, that's a 2019 job that I'm still doing work under. So we have a lot of, I mean, like last year we only had 980 something jobs, but I mean, how many, there's a pile more that are just 2019, 2020 jobs that are still ongoing, you know, and those are the really big jobs usually. I mean, so we do a lot of little jobs, but we do a lot of good sized jobs too.
How many students you're looking for?
We definitely, our highest priority is a crew in Florida. So if anybody's interested in living in the Panama City, Freeport, Walton County, Bay County area, y'all definitely need to come talk to us because the need down there is good. You talking about like internships or just?
That and also graduates.
I think it just depends on where you want to be and what you want to do. I mean, we're open to growing. So like if you think you can come be a part of this, just come talk to us. I mean, we're not, there is no number on it, I guess. You know, it could be 0 or it could be 5. I mean.
Used to do that, so tech survey, for soil testing, you know, remember, you have to think back how the new learners.
I've done a lot of perk tests for residential and commercial, and for engineering design system. But they had a rule change a little while back, and I felt like it kind of overcomplicated the system because like anybody that says they can do a perk test for a couple $100, number one, either doesn't have anything to do or they're cutting corners. Because it's to do a perk test correctly, it's going to take you a minimum of 6 hours in the field, and then it's going to take almost a half a day to get paperwork.
If it hurts.
Completed. And they, in my opinion, they did the rule change, and it just made the whole process a little bit more complicated, and was, I think, kind of burdened the homeowners a little bit because they were looking for like the most restrictive horizon in the soil, and that's where you had to run your test. And And, some of the soils around here, are really restrictive, which would make the system, really expensive for the homeowner, when a less expensive option tested and designed at a different, depth would be sufficient, so.
All right, any more questions?
Money on it.
I know you guys are doing LiDAR, but do you ever see a need for laser scanning or anything like that?
It is lasers. I mean, that's,
No, it's not like terrestrial scanning, rather.
we've talked about doing it from cars, like mobile applications. I know there's some places at, Wiley Sanders would be good to have like a scanning total station, but we don't have any of that currently. I did want to mention, we were planning on cooking some shrimp tonight. If any of y'all are interested, just get with me and let me know so we kind of have a head count. Or any of y'all thinking y'all might come out there? Or... Okay.
Make them out, girl, about 30 minutes, lunch break.
You got some priorities.
I'll do that work.
That's right.
I must say thank you all very much. PLS has been here. Well, Corey, you all remember Corey, not you all, but Corey used to be our one of our adjunct professors. He used to teach the AutoCAD class. He's also, yeah, he used to.
Before I came.
But a lot of our students are working with you all. And on behalf of our program Troy University, I want to thank you all for doing that. And also coming back to hire our students and continue doing the good thing that you all are doing.
Yeah, also, I'm a teacher, I'm proud of you. You are my students, I'm proud of you. And come back here, and just got to keep coming back. Okay?
Yeah, we're glad to be back. And like I mentioned, that last quarter of last year, I mean, there's only one surveyor that got his license in the state. I mean, I think we all need to start promoting. And I mean, if we don't keep it rolling, they're going to lax the laws. I mean, they'll have to where other people can get licensed, and we need to keep it.
Exactly, and that's where I would ask you all to think carefully about representing the profession when the time matters. Like, for example, there's a lot of the graduates who are on the ASPLS board and thing. I see yourselves being there eventually, all right? So keep supporting the profession. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For coming, appreciate it very much.
Getting bigger now.
Exactly, like a professor.
Hey, Zach,
You asked me one
do, when you get there, do you have stars on your phone?
Yeah, I have like a kill source.
Yeah, clock into training, then whenever I get there,
I tell you what,
I get mad if you're ready to.
if there wasn't a day that went by.
I don't think so.
I wasn't happy about it.
That's the thing.
Course, I mean, you.
But-
Can I ask you,
You want to start?
At the same time,
I'm gonna go ahead and
Start first parade.
Okay. You're gonna work every
Kind of
Thursday?
led to this as well.
You're still on.
But you'll be all day.
it's easy, man. It ain't that hard.
I know he.
I'd rather be
over in here.
I was way over taking care of it.
Really? Is there less math now? Like, that's what I've been hearing. is that-
There's less math questions, but you still have to know the same amount.
What I need
You don't know what
to do